And yet somehow Satan puts it in the heart of a man. No, this is not enough. There has to be something more. You get bored and you're looking elsewhere. And you will leave your treasure to go out looking for something else when you had the treasure all along, right in your house. I would say also that your home, it matters to America. And I don't want to say too much about this, but we are living in a time where divorce rates are down simply because the percentage of couples living together has gone up. They don't get divorced because they never get married to begin with. There's all kinds of studies in this, and I just don't want to get into it right now, but it always struck me as I was visiting with people and talking with people, and who's that? Oh, this is my fiancée. Now, they've been living together for 4 years. This is my fiancée. Let me tell you something. Being a fiancée does not mean that you're married. There was a time that I was engaged to Leslie, but that didn't mean that I was allowed to sleep with her. No. That only happens after you get married. And there's many studies that show that if you are loose with that before you get married, you might be loose with it after you get married. I'm just telling you the truth. Now, by the way, some of us, all of us in here have broken these things, okay? I'm not perfect. You might not. I'm not trying to, if you've broken some of these things, I'm not trying to make you feel bad. What I am trying to do is instruct us from here on out, and where we can make the right choices going forward, because it has ramifications, it has consequences. And our society is living with broken homes and dysfunctional homes and addicted homes and immorality in the home and homosexuality. The decay of Western society, this popular culture that is vulgar and violent and destructive and mindless and perverse and deceived and godless. We're starting to reap what they've sown back in the 60s. Because it's not just the hippies that are in charge now, it's their children and their grandchildren and people who have never followed the way of the Lord. And now we're starting to reap. And you just look at your newspaper. I don't have the time to go through all of that, but you can imagine for yourself. By the way, Christians are not exempt from this. Did you know that the divorce rate among Christians is almost parallel to what it is among non-Christians? See, we're not exempt from this, because you know what? The flesh is the flesh. And we can ignore the book like the unsaved can ignore the book. And God says, don't do that. Because really, America needs the example and influence of God-fearing, godly families. That's where we come in. America needs citizens that comes from godly homes. And not the carnage that we see all around us. And thank God there's still that remnant that's here. Thank God for America. Compared to a lot of nations around the world, we still have a whole lot going for us. But I want to close by just telling you this. I want to impress upon you this morning that this is really important. It really, really is. Because the race is not over yet. You still have time to run. And you can do things now that will wreck everything from here on out. And so later down the road, you're sitting down, you're thinking, I remember what Tom Fittis preached on this years ago. I wish I'd have done what he told me. We should have followed what the Bible said out. We should have followed the blueprint of the Scriptures, because here I am reaping what I've sown. And I'm telling you, it can be hell on earth. Broken relationships, pain, loneliness, bitterness, unforgiveness. It can be a terrible thing. And you husbands especially, because the husband is the leader. He is primarily responsible for the home. And you know, we used to watch in our church in Belfast Focus on the Family. Now, they've got issues and stuff, but they still had some good material. And James Dobson, we used to show the videos to our families in the church, and I think it helped them a lot, you know. One of the things that James Dobson said, you know, he says, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence, right? But it still has to be mowed. And he put this graph up about a man. He goes along with his wife, and he's keeping the laws of God, and he's faithful to his wife. And then he gets bored. He's looking to spice it up. He's getting bored with his life. And maybe he has this lovely secretary at work, or somebody he works with. And he talks more to the secretary than he does his own wife. And then all of a sudden, he leaves the path of righteousness. And he goes off. He divorces his wife. He's estranged from his children. He's now with this new partner. Do you know what happens after a while with the new partner? He gets bored again. And the same thing repeats itself. And what happens in a man's life when he thinks the grass is greener on the other side of the fence, and he doesn't value what he has, and he goes after this elusive desire, whatever it might be, and he finds out at the end of the thing that he made a very big mistake. There was a man in South Africa. This is back in the true story in the late 1800s. And they started, of course, many English and German immigrants to South Africa. And there was a time in the late 1800s when they started finding diamonds. And so people were coming in and they were buying land and they were looking for diamonds. There were diamond mines all over the place. The biggest diamond mine in all the world at that time was the Kimberley diamond mine in South Africa. Well, there was a farmer, and he was there just farming land in South Africa, and he got this, maybe gold rush, but diamond rush. He got this diamond fever because everybody knew we're out going to these mines to find these diamonds. And he just got so impatient with this farming. He had a lovely little farm, but he wanted to make more of his life. He had a desire for something more, something else. So he sold the farm to another man, and off he went on hunt for the diamonds. And the story is that he searched for years and years and years and years to find diamonds, and he never found any. And he died as a pauper, disappointed with his whole life. But the story goes that the man that bought his farm was a farmer too, and he was farming the land one day. There was a little stream that ran through the property, and he looked down. They had all these different kind of different coloured stones, you know. And he saw one that was about the size of a goose egg. He says, "That's kind of interesting. It's got a blue colour in it." He lifted that goose egg size stone. He brought it home, put it on the mantle. He just thought it looked nice, you know. And it was there for weeks. And then a friend came in and he saw this rock on the mantelpiece, and he says, "Do you know what that is?" He says, "No, just like a pretty stone." He says, the stream's full of them. He says, "That's a diamond." It was one of the largest diamonds, like 23 carats. You can look this up, Google it for yourself. 23 carat diamond. Some of those diamonds ended up in the jewelry for the kings of Europe. And the man went out, and they came in, and this whole property was acres of diamonds. Acres of diamonds. In fact, we sing a song, "Acres of Diamonds." That's where that comes from, that story. And the man that owned the acres of diamonds thought it was worthless. And he sold it all to go after the elusive dream that was never satisfied. And all the way, all the time, he was standing on really what he thought he wanted to begin with. You know, there's people, maybe even in here, and your home is like a treasure. It's a treasure. You think of your wife and you think of your little children. That should be such a treasure that you would die for. Not only would you fight for, that you would die for. And yet somehow Satan puts it in the heart of a man. No, this is not enough. There has to be something more. You get bored and you're looking elsewhere. And you will leave your treasure to go out looking for something else when you had the treasure all along, right in your house. And one day you'll find out, I wasted it all. And not only will you be dissatisfied, but you'll wreck everybody else's life. You'll wreck your wife's life and your children's life and your in-laws' life and your own parents' life because of that wrong choice. Acres of diamonds. Right at your house. Your treasure. Family matters. It really does. And I hope that you'll hang in with me over the next few weeks as we look at this. It'll help me. It'll help you. Now, don't be pointing your finger at your husband. Don't be pointing your finger at your wife. Don't be pointing out about this family in church that you know is going to they're having problems and oh yeah. No, it's not for them. It's for you. Only revival in your home will only happen when you get a hold of it, when you make some changes, when you make some decisions. Let's pray.